What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy, Dead on Dave. And we're here once again for a daily focus battle review. NXT versus Lucha Underground. That's right. Whew. If you are not watching Wednesday Night Wrestling, you are missing out, because let me tell you, the battle's heating up. The battle is heating up. Lucha got me, finally. Lucha connected with me, man. It set the hook. That was the best episode of Lucha Underground yet. There's still problems. Maybe the worst commentary by Vampiro of any episode yet. Go ahead and take a drink every time Vampiro says, and I want to give a shout out, because my God, he doesn't stop with that shit, and it's very annoying. Got to give credit, though, to the workers. It's ridiculous how good they were last night. Every match on the Lucha card was fantastic. I mean, it really was. They were all good. There was copious amounts of matches and copious amounts of action. It was pretty damn good. So I was very, very pleased with that. Before I get too far into this, I want to give a quick shout out to Leah, who was on the very first episode of 5 Random Questions, a new thing I'm doing where I'm just opening up my Skype any given time of the day, seeing who's on, and then calling up somebody and just asking 5 random questions, wrestling related, life related, whatever the hell I want. You could be on the show any given time. If you're on Skype and you're linked up to me on Skype, David Vancura, DavidVancura, then hey, boom, you could be on the show. You could be on the show and ask 5 random questions. And there might even be prizes at some point, depending on just the mood I'm in. I don't know. You never know. Never know with me. Maybe I'll turn it into a competition type thing. Maybe it'll be a trivia day. Yeah, maybe you'll be asked some 5 random wrestling trivia questions. But either way, Leah was the first person on, and she was fantastic. A lot of fun. Also, up right now, because of the fact that Monetize This did not happen. Sorry, guys, about that. Joe Cronin had some stuff going on. Couldn't make it happen. I decided to release the Jeff Huffman interview of Creators Corner a little bit early this morning, and probably around 6 hours sooner than I usually release it. So that was there for consumption, and I hope everybody who watched it early enjoyed it. It's a really, really good interview. So if you're a fan of Creators Corner, if you're a fan of interviews, if you're a fan of me or Jeff Huffman, or just fan of good life stories, this is the interview for you. It really is good. Jeff opens up in ways you're going to know Jeff a hell of a lot more than you did before, and it's a great, great episode. I'm really proud of it. It's probably the most personal episode I've done yet. Probably right there with Tommy C's. Just very personal, very real, and it's awesome. I'm really proud of it. So thanks, Jeff, for an awesome, awesome interview. And remember, if you want to be on Creators Corner for whatever reason, whatever you want to tell your life story, you want to share the things that you've created, art, music, comedy, writing, you do haikus, I don't give a shit. Whatever you do, you want to share it, let me know, and I will get you on Creators Corner, and we'll talk about it. So it'll be a lot of fun. Just let me know. There's plenty of ways to get in touch with me. However you want to get in touch with me, I'm available. You can get in touch with me through Twitter. That's probably the easiest way, at Dead on Dave V, right here on YouTube, the Dead on Dave. My Skype, I gave you my Skype information, David Vancura, DavidVancura. It's all very simple. So just hit me up, and I'll hook you up, all right? So let's get back into the review. Sorry, I got a little sidetracked there, but I wanted to make sure I made reference to those things. So we're going to start with Lucha like we always do. New band, Mariachi El Bronx, performing in the temple. It was very strange. It opened up, the whole night just opened up with Johnny Mundo and all this stuff, and making his return, coming in. The backstage segments, which never connect with me, they connected tonight, because I'm finally really starting to get into what Lucha is. And somebody wrote in the comment sections either last week or 2 weeks ago, you can't review these two together because they're apples and oranges. While I agree that you're right in a sense, you're not right in this sense because here's what they have in common, and they're probably the two most important things. They're a show about wrestling on a Wednesday. That's why I review them together. And they're both an hour, and it just makes sense. It makes perfect friggin' sense. It all work together. Yes, they are different shows. You are right about that. And I've said it a million times. They are completely different. One is a wrestling program, and one is a program about wrestling. It really is. It's becoming that. Lucha Underground is really starting to make waves because it's almost like a sitcom. Not a sitcom. It's just like it's an hourly, like CSI, but not CSI. You know what I mean? It's like a drama about wrestling. There's all this backstage stuff, and there's some really weird supernatural shit going on too, potentially. Just some really cool things that are happening in the back, and I don't know if the acting's getting better. I don't know if the story is just progressing more to where it's getting more interesting. But everything they did in the backstage just worked, and it was very cool. So, first match, it was Son of Havoc, who I really like, with Eva Lee versus Angelico. And if you don't know who Angelico is, this guy is very impressive. He's Australian. He's really lanky and tall. He's a better version and a bigger version of Justin Gabriel in a lot of ways. He comes at you with kicks and punches and flips and stuff, and he's very good. You know who he reminds me of? He reminds me of Alex Wright in a lot of ways. Das Wunderkind, Alex Wright. That made my wife happy. You like a little German name drop, babe?
Wunderkind.
Das Wunderkind. Alex.
You sound like Hitler when you talk German.
I sound like Hitler when I talk German?
Yes. You always say it so mean.
German sounds mean.
No, we don't.
Bullshit. Ich liebe dich. That means I love you. That sounds like I'm going to murder your face. It's a very harsh language, sweetheart.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. It's not like French. You could look someone in the eyes and tell them that I'm going to stab you in the face with a hot poker in French, and it sounds sexy.
I'm gonna stab you.
What was that, Japanese? Or were you dubbing a Godzilla movie? What the hell's the matter? I'm gonna stab you. It's impossible. What's the matter with you?
I don't know. I gotta go to work.
You gotta go to work. I love you. Walk. There's a little video game reference for all you guys out there who play video games. Walk. What's that reference from? Hey? Oh, by the way, I gotta give credit. Somebody got my Star Search reference the other day, and it made my day. Only one person got the Star Search reference in the video. That was awesome. I wish I could give you credit, but I forgot your name. Oh, I'm such a dick. Okay. Son of Havoc with Eva Lee versus Angelico. Like I was saying, I was telling you about how good Angelico is, and he is. He's very much a guy to watch. And I haven't seen him a lot on the indies and stuff, but this guy's good. Another thing about this match, Eva Lee, man, she is a very unique diva. She's just mean, or woman wrestler because it's not WWE. She's mean, but she's sexy as hell, and she could talk. She can really, really talk on the mic well. And this match was good. Son of Havoc was just, he's so small. And the match started out, and I was going to shit on this match at first because they looked very awkward wrestling together. It's like either Havoc was not used to wrestling a taller guy or Angelico was not used to wrestling a smaller guy. But this is just kind of the MO of Lucha is, and if you're really familiar with Lucha wrestling, luchadors down in Mexico and stuff, and you've watched a lot of AAA and stuff, you kind of get used to the slower builds to the spots. It's just felt in weeks past that Lucha's been a little bit too set up, for me at least. But tonight, I only saw it a little bit, and it was early in matches. Once the guys got going, the setups to the moves were much more clean. And I think it was probably because tonight they had basically their all-around best talent. It really addressed one of the things that I've been complaining about, and that's roster depth. I didn't see a roster depth problem tonight. Every match seemed to have a lot of very, very good wrestlers in there, and it was impressive. It really was. So have it going after him. They have a good back and forth match. Angelico, he goes for a nasty fall of Angel. I don't know if you've seen that move, but it's awesome. And Havoc turns it into Hurricanrana. But Eva Lee is in the way, and boom, she gets basically speared off the ropes, and Angelico with the roll-up for the victory. Very good match. It was a good way to start it out. Johnny Mundo in a backstage segment talking to Dario Cueto, and he says he's ready to come back. And Dario's like, all right, bygones be bygones, you can come back. I'm finally connecting with Dario. I'm starting to get his character. I think as the weeks go on and I'm watching Lucha more intently, I'm starting to connect with what they're doing a little more. I'm starting to let go of this standard that I have because it's hard to judge them. And it takes a little bit of time to get used to it because you want to judge them purely as like you're watching NXT or you're watching Raw. It's not that. It is a different show. It is a show with wrestling in it. Because there's all this stuff going on. And it's not the same as backstage promos in WWE. It's not. It really does feel like it's a television show, and then every now and then it almost feels like the wrestling matches are the cutscenes. I think that's the best way to describe it. It feels like the wrestling matches are the cutscenes. It's just very interesting. But it worked this week. For whatever reason, it just worked. The next match is Famous B versus Pentagon Jr. It's a pretty hard-hitting, quick match. It doesn't have a lot of length to it, but Pentagon punts him right in the friggin' head, punts Famous B right in the head out the gate, comes back, Pentagon hits a super kick and a really nasty package pile driver, and it hits a submission on Famous B for the win. It was a pretty quick, abrupt match, but still very well executed. And that's the thing. It was execution throughout the night. It was just constant execution. So Dario Cueto backstage once again. He's sitting in like a prison almost, and he's holding a key around his neck that we've seen in the past. Johnny Mundo taking the key. There's been a lot of buildup over this key. Well, Dario has the key, and he's talking to someone who looks like he's a prisoner, and he's warning this person or this thing that the woman who was at the end of the episode last week warning Dario that she's here to find somebody. This is the person that she's here to find, apparently. And Dario alludes to the fact that there is a really cool past between all three of these people, really. And it's intriguing to me. It was intriguing. Was it a little hokey? Maybe, but I'm starting to get into the television show rather than the wrestling, because now the story, and this really harkens to the storytelling ability of Robert Rodriguez, who I really do believe has his fingerprints all over it. He's not just producing it because it feels Robert Rodriguez. The story is starting to take on those tones that you see in all of his movies, and it's really cool. It's really starting to work. And just having a guy like Mark Burnett, who is the reality show king, back there too. It's all these elements that are starting to really hit its mark. And this backstage segment was cool, man. Whatever the thing is that's being held prisoner, person, whatever. And I think eventually it's just going to be shown to be a really big star. They haven't shown who it is yet because they haven't signed that star. And if that's the way it is, it's really ambiguous storytelling, but it's also brilliant because it gives them an opportunity they don't have to show who this guy is yet. They could do it one of two ways. If they never sign a huge star, like it wouldn't surprise me if it would have been Alberto Del Rio. But as we know, that's not the case, and we'll get into that a little bit later. El Patron, I should say. But it's not. So they can go one of two ways. They can wait until they do sign that huge, big-name star, or you just get a mammoth guy who looks like Goro, and you can have him be this reveal. Yeah, you can have him be the guy. That would be interesting too. So there's different ways that they can book that. That would be kind of cool to see. So, all right, next match is Drago versus Aerostar. Oh, God. All right, if you have not seen Drago, he might have one of the coolest looks in all of wrestling right now. The guy looks like a friggin' dragon, and he's got this tongue that comes down to his goddamn belly. It's awesome looking. It's really, really cool. It's a very cool visual that doesn't look hokey. And he can work. Him and Aerostar have a great match. They trade Hurricanranas, Insuguris, slingshot, double stomps, all kinds of crazy stuff. It's actually quite like the Hideo Itami Finn Balor match from NXT this week, which we'll get into later. Drago gets him down, double drop kicks on him. It's really badass, good action. It's pretty damn great. Drago hits a blockbuster DDT, and it's disgusting. It looks like he breaks the guy's neck when he hits it and gets the win. This blockbuster DDT is sick. It's absolutely sick, and I don't know how Aerostar didn't get hurt. It was pretty freaking cool. They showed mutual respect after the match. It was another one of those times where the commentary really didn't do the match justice, and I don't know who to blame. I really don't. I was blaming Stryker for everything. But I'm really thinking the solution just could be getting him a new partner because Vampiro is terrible. And I know I've completely done a 180 on that because I was saying Vampiro was okay and it was Stryker that was the problem. Stryker may still be the problem as I do think he's a terrible announcer. But right now he's got to be the guy that stays and Vampiro's got to go. I think that's what we know right now. Vampiro has got to go. Bye-bye, you know. So the main event of the night, Cage. I almost called him Johnny Cage. Cage, because this so much reminds me of Mortal Kombat at times. It's not even funny. Cage versus Johnny Mundo, which I still don't like that name. But I love John Morrison. Love him. I think he's a great athlete. He's fantastic. These two have a pretty good match. Mundo, John Morrison does not have bad matches. Cage is a better guy than I think, but they are clearly just trying to have him be Brock Lesnar. I mean, he hits an F5 in this match. It's not more on those than that, buddy, and he's not Lesnar. Cage is good. He's big, and he has a lot of potential, but he's still very, very green. He's not Lesnar. Lesnar wasn't even green when Lesnar was green, It's just one of those things because he was such a freak athlete. Cage isn't that quite of an athlete. But he does hit some really cool moves. As the match goes on, Kiro comes down and starts getting involved and destroys Mundo's leg, causing the disqualification. Quirino, Jesus, I hate this guy's name. Kiono continues to beat up on Mundo's leg. The match looks like it's over. Then Dario Cueto comes out and says, "No, this 5-star match will not be ended that way." Johnny Mundo, and you could say what you want. You could think that this is kind of more of Dario getting more revenge on Johnny Mundo, but I don't know. I think it wasn't all about that. It was kind of cool. So they restart the match after Morrison was like, "Yeah, let's go," and he continues to have a decent fight with Cage. In fact, the second part of the match is a little bit better. He hits Starship Pain, now known as Moonlight Drive, but it doesn't finish the job. This is when Cage hits him with a friggin' F5. We get more crazy sunset flip type pins, and then Cage blasts him with a discus clothesline and hits a reverse STO. The STO is out of a gory special too, which is kind of cool. Cage showed a lot in this match. It was a really, really good match. The more I talk about it, the more that I remember what I saw. It really was a good match, and he got the win. And now he's carrying around the destroyed remnants of the old belt. Now, I don't know if we're going to get a new belt. We probably will, so that'll be interesting. I don't know. So the night is ending. Kyoto, whatever his name is in the office with... no, I'm sorry. I am sorry. Dario Cueto is in his office, and he's talking on the phone to somebody, and then El Patron shows up and closes the show. And, of course, Alberto does what he does. "My name is Alberto, El Patron, but you already knew that." And he gives his little freaky little wink to the camera like, "You guys remember me?" He looks a little doughy. Did anyone else notice that? Yeah, like his face, he looks a little puffy. I know the camera adds 10 pounds, but I don't know. I don't really care about Del Rio. I just don't. I didn't like him WWE. I don't like him now. I'll never like him. I have respect for his ability, that matches that he had 10, 15 years ago that people like to talk about and say, oh, his matches were so good. Yeah, they were when he was 28. Now he's 38, and it's not as good. It's just not. Plain and simple. He's one-dimensional. His matches are very academic. They're well executed, but they're always the same. Always the same. We'll see what he does here. Maybe the restrictions will be off of him, and maybe because there probably was very rhythmic restrictions on him in WWE, what they wanted him to do, and that's what he did. Maybe I'm wrong, and we'll see him open up here in Lucha, more back to his roots. And it wouldn't be a surprise if that happens, because I know what type of a worker he was in the past. So, I don't know, maybe he'll interest me again. But at 38, I'm not thinking that I'm wrong, but we'll see. The guy's boring to me. Perhaps he will not be so boring in the near future. What do you guys think? It was a great show. Plain and simple. Great show. But could it beat out NXT? Well, let's talk about that. NXT had a lot going for it as well. It had a very full card. Lots of matches. There were 4 or 5 matches. It was a good little thing going on. And actually, look, it was only 4 matches. 2 Divas matches and 2 number 1 contender tournament matches. Both Divas matches, I'm going to talk about it like this. The Certified G's start the show. Colin Cassidy and Enzo Amore start the show. They're hysterical. They're hilarious. These guys are the New Age Outlaws. The fans love them. They're great. I hope that their shtick is the same in the WWE when they eventually do get called up, because it's hysterical. Carmella comes out, who I also really like. She's decent in the ring. It's a short match with Emma. Emma's supposed to be kind of repackaged, but she's not. She shows a little bit of edge, and maybe they're just going to go the disgruntled gimmick route, where eventually she's going to stop the dancing and she's going to be more serious. I'm thinking that's eventually how it's going to go after she piles up some losses. They want her to hit full rock bottom, then maybe build her back up. I have no idea. But Emma looked like she was in great shape. She looked like she lost a little bit of weight. She looked like she refocused back in the gym. These are all good signs. But the match was kind of clumsy, and I don't know who to blame. Carmella does get an impressive submission on her and for the victory. But it was just kind of one of those matches where it was interesting to start the show with that. I think that they were hoping for more out of them, and it didn't fully deliver. But it was a decent match, especially for a Divas match, which we did not get any women's action on Lucha. So it all depends on what you're looking for. I mean, once again, the shows are tad different in how they present themselves. Adrian Neville versus Baron Corbin. Great match. Great match. Finally, Baron Corbin gets stretched out, and we get to see a little bit more of how he sells moves, how he puts moves on. We get to see a little bit of his cardio. We see more personality out of Baron Corbin than we've seen the entire time. Adrian Neville's able to bring out the best in almost anybody. He is fantastic. This was a great match, and then, God damn it, Bull Dempsey! Why? Why are we doing more Bull Dempsey? He's already lost twice to this guy. I don't care. I don't want to see Bull Dempsey and Baron Corbin again. Now, Baron Corbin, because of the interference by Bull Dempsey, he gets thrown back in the ring and gets Red Arrow hit on him. Once again, a beautiful Red Arrow, just every time flawless. For the win, Adrian Neville advances in the tournament, which I don't think anyone was surprised with. Adrian Neville has to be in the number 1 contenders final, I think. And now Corbin gets his first loss, so both him and Dempsey are no longer undefeated, and they're going to have a match at our Evolution, a no disqualification brawl, which I'm not sure who's going to win this thing. We've already had 2 wins by Corbin. You have to figure he's going to go over Dempsey again. It's very strange, especially in a match like this. This match, being no disqualification, seems to favor Dempsey. We'll see what happens. It's an interesting concept. The second Divas match of the night, Bayley versus Becky Lynch, which they featured 4 Divas. They normally don't feature as much. Some of the top Divas, really only the two top girls, they didn't get featured too much, being Charlotte and Sasha. But the other 4 of the other ones got to really show their stuff, and that was kind of cool. Bailey and Becky have a pretty decent match. I love Becky Lynch. I'm starting to just love her more and more. She delivers these running, short, quick burst leg drops that you don't see anymore. They just don't do them. Chavo, I think, still does them. I'm trying to think of who has done it most recently. But when you see him, you're going to know what I'm talking about. I don't know if you're going to know what I'm talking about, but she runs and then drops a leg, but in one quick burst of emotion. And they just, burst of motion, I should say, not emotion. And just hits it real crisp and nice. They're good leg drops. I love them. It's something that I look for and you never get to see. Sasha ends up coming down and costs Becky the match. It is what it is. And then all 4 participants in the Fatal 4-Way women's NXT title match kind of stare off. So Bayley, Charlotte, Becky, and Sasha. That should be a really good match. The Fatal 4-Way should be a good match at the next takeover, which is being called Rival. I like that, basically, because of Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, of course. The match of the night. The match of the night in any wrestling. Here's the thing. This is what's going to make this competition very close. Finn Balor and Hideo Itami. Almost immediately, 3 minutes into the match, a better than Raw chant breaks out, which is quite telling. And, you know, NXT is a different product for a lot of reasons than what WWE is doing. It's a different product for a lot of reasons. One of those reasons is the fact that it's a different audience. I think the NXT fans that come watch live are definitely a different group. They're a little older, a little smarter. They're looking for different things, and they're really appreciative of this type of wrestling. This is a great match, man. I mean, there's chain wrestling, there's physicality. These two know each other, and they really show how well. It's just such a good match. Back and forth action. They both sell to each other wonderfully. Hideo Itami really, really looked good in this match, taking everything that Finn Balor had, and then the finish is absolutely fantastic. He hits this running drop kick on Itami and just jets him into the corner, and Itami shit whips into the turnbuckle, and it just looks so good. And I don't think Itami got hurt either, for real, and that's a good thing. But it was quite spectacular. And then he hits the double stomp on Itami for the win, setting up Finn Balor, Adrian Neville at the TakeOver pay-per-view next Wednesday night. Whew. Finn Balor and Adrian Neville are going to go for the right to be the new number 1 contender to the title. So basically, you've got the title match, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, and you have the number 1 contenders match, Adrian Neville and Finn Balor. No matter what combination of who wins, we're going to get a spectacular next feud. Doesn't matter who wins. If it's the least likely is Neville and Zayn both winning their matches, because we've seen that they were basically rivaled for a year. So I don't see the same thing happening. I'm not sure if Owens is gonna win the belt this quickly. He probably will, because I think he's more fast tracked than anyone else. I think they're gonna try and get him to the main roster as soon as possible. So putting the belt on him now and kind of letting him become this beast and building him up makes a lot of sense. So him winning it, I could see him and Balor both winning their matches. It makes a lot of sense. But Neville too. Neville could win that and go on as long as Owens wins. So the least likely scenario is Zayn and Neville both winning. It could happen, but I don't think it will. That being said, no matter what happens, we're going to be having some great matches in the future, and both of those matches should deliver at the TakeOver event. It should be great. I'm very excited. So here's what we got. We got 2 great shows, man. Great for different reasons. Lucha really felt it was the backstage stuff that connected with me so much, that made me care more about the in-ring product. At the same time, the in-ring product was really good this week. It's hard to knock a lot of Lucha. They still have the same production problems. It was more tight this week than usual. The commentary was bad. However, the matches were so good. They were really good. For the first time, top to bottom, there was no bullshit. Top to bottom, their best guys went, except for Prince Puma, who wasn't there, which is fine. I didn't really miss him that much. And they needed a little time for him going on. I hope you can't tell that I'm scratching and adjusting, but oh well. It was a very, very good card, top to bottom. I really enjoyed the matches. At the same time, it's like, is it enough because of how good a Tommy Baylor was? So, this is not a clear knockout like last week. This is not a knockout victory at all. This is going to the judges. This is a split decision victory. Who wins this week in the battle review? NXT or Lucha? By the slimmest of margins, despite the fact that they had the best match of either show. NXT is going to drop this decision this week, and the winner of this week's battle review is Lucha Underground. It was a better show by very little, but the real winners is us, because if you watched both shows Wednesday night, you were treated to 2 hours of fantastic professional wrestling for completely different reasons. So this has to excite you as a wrestling fan. Now the question is, can Lucha continue this trend? It's going to be difficult because next week they're going up against the new TakeOver event, which is going to be awesome. So we'll see. I think it was a great night of wrestling by both brands. I'm excited to see more from both, and I'm finally getting hooked by Lucha, which is important. I will say again, NXT did provide us the best match of the night in Tommy and Balor. So take that for what it's worth. It was a great night. What do you guys think? Who won this week's battle? Who won it? Was it Lucha or was it NXT? What entertained you more? Did you watch both? Do you only watch one? I want to know what you guys have to say. I want to know what you think, because that gets me going. I love to know what you guys think. And remember, keep your Skypes open, kids, because you never know when you're going to get hit with 5 random questions. Thanks for joining me. Make sure, as always, you like, subscribe, and share. And if you want to get your very own Dead on Dave merchandise, go over to deadondave.spreadshirt.com and pick up your own awesome Dead on Dave merchandise. Drink from my face, wear my face on your chest. Show everybody that you represent Dave. You've all been Daved in the face. Thanks for joining me, and we will see you next time right here on Dead on Dave Productions. Peace!